It all ends here. 3 drivers with one chance at immortality in WRLA history. Will it be Skylar Taylor, our Las Vegas winner who stayed consistent all year long?
They worked their way off of turn number 4. Skylar Taylor is finally a Pepsi Cup Series winner as they win at Las Vegas.
Will it be Russell Blaze, who's been hungry for this opportunity since coming to WRLA? The heartbreak is over. Russell Blaze is finally a WRLA Pepsi Cup Series winner here in Nashville. Or will it be 2-time winner and points leader Kyle Craven? So the deal is sealed and American Motorsports is going to victory lane, and it's Kyle Craven winning the M&M's 400. He's going to add a second win to the season by winning here at Phoenix. Along with all these questions that have yet to be answered, we also have to remember the road these drivers endured to get here. The failures, the grit, and the relentlessness that led us to a night that will be cemented in WRLA history forever. The caution is out! The race is over! Roberto Crown Jr. is gonna come home a winner! Oh no! Oh no! 20 races, 13 different winners, many unforgettable moments. And it all comes down to this. The final points race of the 2025 WRLA season is next.
The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine! Cause we want retribution!
But coming to the green here, it's getting cleaned out real well. Pace cars off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Take care of your stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble!
Great job doing awesome, buddy.
After 9 months of WRLA competition, we finally come here to the Homestead Miami Speedway for the final race, the final points-paying race to be more specific, of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season. It is the Ford Ecoboost 400, and I can finally say, after 8 years and 3 other seasons up to this point, we have finally made it to the championship race. Of course, there were a few setbacks along the way, of course, which 2 races got put towards the back end of the season, which we are going to make those up after this one. No points will be rewarded after this race. But nonetheless, the goosebumps are rising. It is absolutely electric here at the Homestead Miami Speedway for race number 21. Ladies, I don't even know what to say, because this is by far probably going to be the most important race. This is going to be the most important race out of the entire season. Obviously, for the reasons of why we're here. Of course, Kyle Craven coming in as the championship leader. Russell Blaze second in the points standings. Then you have Skylar Taylor, or you have Kyle Craven, Skylar Taylor, Russell Blaze, you name it. We have at least 3 to 4 other contenders. You even count Terry Walker into this because he could still technically win this championship as well. But of course, for Taylor and as well as Terry Walker, they are both long shots for this fight. But it is going to be just that. It is going to be a fight. 134 laps of action here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. As always, of course, I'm Elijah Leonard here getting ready to bring you the action here for race number 21 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. And this is the final points paying race of the season. And again, stakes could not get any higher. Of course, we're going to go ahead and we're going to review your point standings coming into this one. And I will say for Blaze, for Skylar Taylor, for Terry Walker, they are going to have a legit climb on their hands if they want any sort of shot at dethroning Kyle Craven. Look at the points gap between him and Blaze right now. A 27-point difference. Then almost a 50-point difference between Taylor and Craven. And then, well, it's a 51-point difference, and then a 52-point difference between Terry Walker and Kyle Craven. So, again, Walker and Taylor would both have to win, lead all the laps, and get all the maximum bonus points that they need in order to win the championship. Of course, everybody else from 5th on down, they don't really have much of a chance at the championship, so they're going to go for all that they can. But look at Nathan Stapleton, up to 21st in the point standings. I'm actually very impressed to see him at this point of the year turning everything around and looking to try to get the strongest finish possible. Wyatt Walker had himself a great result at Phoenix, catapulting him up to 22nd. And of course, for Alex Bonsignor, Caleb Rose, Phillips Vaughn, Jerry Rose, and Aaron Abel, they're just looking to try to end off the season on the highest note that they possibly can. Unfortunately, they've just not had themselves the best of seasons this year, and they're just looking to try to end it all here on a good note here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. But, man, it has been one of those times, just one of those times where it's just you really want to put the season behind you and just get ready for the next one. And this night is definitely going to be the one where a lot of these drivers are going to have a lot of weight lifted off their shoulders, especially once points do get finalized after tonight. And as far as qualifying, that was pretty important for a lot of these other drivers. However, our championship contenders, well, they didn't do all that great. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup here for the Ford EcoBoost 400. Emily Anderson, Braden Perez, they make up the front row. Bruno Diacomo, there's Zachary Fitzwater there. They both make up row number 2. Janiah Hill, doing Bobby McGuire Motorsports proud, making their home track, well, 1 or 2 home tracks for them since moving to Florida, starting in the 6th position. You see Caleb Rose there, who was 32nd in the point standing, starting 14th, looking to try to get a good, strong ending here to the 2025 season when it comes to points. Alex Bonsignor, Stephen Colon, they make up the top 20. Take a look on the next page here for our starting grid. And there's 4th place in points. Terry Walker, we saw Skylar Taylor just a little bit ago, but there's Kyle Craven starting in the 30th position. He's going to have a lot of work cut out for him if he's going to have any sort of chance of keeping his championship hopes alive, but at least of winning the championship, since he is the points leader, of course. All that would have to happen is Craven would have to finish 37th or worse, and all the other drivers, well, Blaze specifically, would have to finish at least 27 spots ahead, at least 28 spots ahead in order to win the championship. What would better his chances if he got a bonus point or 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. It would really, really help a lot in order for this championship, but you can see him there starting in the 41st spot. Gonna have a lot of work cut out for him coming in to this particular race. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been such a fantastic 2025 season. Of course, with the setback of pushing Charlotte and Pocono to the tail end of the season, we're going to make those two races up later on the 11th and the 15th. So, but we got this championship race here, and we're going to try to cap off the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season strong. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this party started. The drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up. But in order to get these 42 cars rolling off, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that.
Race fans, get on your feet! Drivers, start your engines!
And there it is. Engines have been fired. Pace car is rolling off, and so are these 42 competitors. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, for the final time in 2025, we are going points racing. And then again, on the 11th, that would be Veterans Day. We'll be running the Coca-Cola 600. And then on the 15th of November, we'll be racing Pocono, and that will make up the 23 race schedule. But as for tonight, the stakes could not get any higher. Kyle Craven, Russell Blaze, they're starting towards the back end of the field. Same goes for Terry Walker. But for Skylar Taylor, he's definitely got the advantage when it comes to starting position, starting in the 15th spot here for this race. But we know that if Taylor is going to win the championship, they'd have to get the maximum amount of points possible in order to surpass Kyle Craven. But that's going to be a tall challenge for all of these drivers to dethrone Kyle Craven as the pace car is off. Emily Anderson and Braden Perez will lead the field to the green flag to get the final points race of 2025 underway from Homestead. Everybody looking to scramble to get up to the high side right out of the gate. Anderson's going to get that jump as they come off of turn number 4. Emily Anderson is going to lead lap number 1. She made a lot of history this year as becoming the all-time winningest driver in WRLA history, surpassing Emmanuel Harnett earlier this year at Indianapolis. Looking to try to get win number 3 to cap off the points-paying portion of the season. So far, still leading the charge, Bruno Diacomo trying to take the lead from the inside line, but as we're noticing right out of the gate, the top line is the way to go, almost right up against the wall, but you want to be very, very careful that you don't get that Miami stripe. You want to be careful that you don't overdrive your corner entry, because chances are you're going to walk up the racetrack and you're going to get that Miami stripe. We've seen that a little bit ago in qualifying, or quite a few times in qualifying, and I would not be a bit surprised if we saw that in the race, especially as tire wear is going to become definitely a topic of conversation as this race goes on. Anderson continues to lead from the outside line. Diacomo trying to do everything he can to make that bottom groove work. Sebastian Vaughn is down there. You got Nathan Stapleton trying to follow close suit as they're all tucked up behind the 95 of Diacomo. Already, one car into the wall. That would be Zachary Taylor in the 85. And what that will do is that there's going to be some drivers that are going to get held up by Taylor scraping that outside wall, and that's going to start to kind of spread the pack out just a little bit. They had done the back straightaway again, coming around to complete 5 laps here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Giacomo might potentially get put in the middle of a 3-wide situation if he's not too careful, because you saw Sebastian Bond there. He's kind of peeking a little bit to the inside, as if he was sort of flirting with making the move of 3 abreast, but not going to quite be the case here. Giacomo making that bottom line work just a little bit more as they head down the back straightaway into turn number 3, just about dead even with Anderson here as they come through turn 4, this time by about dead even, coming off a corner exit. But Emily Anderson, speaking of corner exit, gets a pretty good run off of turn number 4 and edges ahead in turn 1. I would have to believe that Giacomo had to check up just a little bit, and that will clear Emily Anderson of all traffic around her, at least momentarily. But look at this. Everybody is just right up there on that high side. Nobody's really using the bottom here at Homestead Miami Speedway because, again, that top side is the preferred way to go, especially if you're trying to race, because, you know, at a place like Homestead Miami Speedway, it just depends on how you set up your car, because the top side could also be the racing line. The bottom could be tire saving. The middle could be the best way to go. You just don't know, especially when it comes to a place like Homestead Miami Speedway, where basically a lot of different grooves could potentially work out in your favor. So that's definitely going to be something to watch out for here as this race goes on, is what grooves will eventually come to life here as the race progresses on. But Giacomo still trying to do everything he can in his own ability to try to get to the inside of Anderson, but coming off of turn number 4, really, as of right now, Emily Anderson is doing a masterful job of just holding on to this race lead from the outside line, kind of barring everybody else from at least leading a lap as of right now. But remember, those pit stops will be coming up a little bit later on, so not 100% sure when, but we'll definitely figure it out once we get to that point. Take a look a little bit further back there. There's Ryan Little getting around Nathan Stapleton from the outside groove. Nice. Seidel getting a good jump coming off of turn number 4, and that momentum just absolutely carried her down the front straightaway. But Stapleton gets a good run getting into turn number 1. Gets by Seidel there. It pulls even with Ryan Little. Check back in over with the championship contenders as of right now. Our points leader, that being Kyle Craven. Here he is, still towards the tail end of the pack right now, still being scored in 30th. Russell Blaze, well, not doing too well either himself. Has not gained any position since the drop of the green flag, so he is still sitting in that 21st spot. But you never know. Pit stops could definitely change the landscape. Could definitely change the landscape of the top 10, top 15, really of the whole running order, realistically speaking. Oh, Stapleton kind of sliding up the racetrack just a little bit. That opens up the door for him to slide up in front of his teammate Andrew Miller in the 96. And I'm sure Miller is going to be a great teammate. And, man, obviously, well, great teammate to Stapleton. And let his boss slide up in front of him. Now it's Monaco down there on the inside line, kind of all by himself, at least for the most part. And there's Andrew Ramsey getting up into the outside wall, coming off of turn number 4. Holding up Aaron Abel just a little bit. And you also have Nikki Fox there in that 32. Making her way down to the inside. CG Hull in the 17. Still trying to search for his second Pepsi Cup Series win to try to cap off the points end of the 2025 season. It's just barely outside of the top 10 as of right now. Currently scored in the 17th position. So not too far away here from the top 10 as of right now. But Anderson has led all 14 laps since the drop of the green flag. And Giacomo, since the start of the race, has been trying to do everything he can to make that bottom line work. He was able to do it for just a little while, but at least not as of right now, not recently. Your top 10 running order still as of right now with now 15 laps complete. Anderson still leads the way. Giacomo now being shown in second. Perez now gets kicked back to third. Zachary Fitzwater fourth. And then in fifth is Sebastian Vaughn. Janiah Hill in the sixth position. Then in seventh is Ajax Fitzgerald. Ryan Little is in eighth. Nia Seidel ninth. And Nathan Stapleton completes your top 10. Very early in the going in this one. 15 laps complete. Now coming to complete lap 16. You're starting to notice a little bit that these drivers are starting to sort of lift a little bit more through the corners. So I would have to imagine that the lap times are going to be a little bit slower because these drivers are running as hard as they possibly can on this set of tires. And when you do that, you run the risk of obviously losing a lot of grip on the tires, and you're obviously wearing them down. So you're going to have to start lifting a little bit more to at least get into the corner and try to make sure that you're not going to overdrive it and find yourself into that outside wall. Another thing you want to be careful of is, I'm of course, just driving into the corner. So far, everybody does a pretty decent job of. Unless if you're Zachary Taylor, you find yourself into the outside wall yet again. Kind of adding on to that Miami stripe. That's the second time that we've seen Zachary Taylor into the outside wall. And you got Alex Bonsignor there, that 22, trying to get by on the inside line and bring Alexander Rowe in the 34 with him. Do apologize there, had a little bit of a phlegm buildup, but now coming off of turn 4. 19 laps complete. Emily Anderson still leading the charge. Right now, Skylar Taylor is, as of right now, there they are. Still now in the 20th position. Kyle Craven is now shown in the 32nd position. So lost a couple spots there. Blaze still shown in 21st, or 41st, excuse me. And Terry Walker is in the 30th position. So none of the championship contenders as of right now are faring too well here in this event, but it is still pretty early and pit stops are still coming up here very, very shortly. So I would expect a lot of these guys to come on down probably right around lap 33-ish, but that's just a guesstimate. So there's always a chance that I might be wrong. So, but we'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that one. Nathan Stapleton getting pretty close to that outside wall coming off of turn 4. But he's still able to maintain that 10th position. Almost thought that Stapleton was going to nail that outside wall going through turns 3 and 4. Because that's usually the main trouble spot here in this racetrack. It's usually the main trouble spot, especially if you kind of just overshoot the corner, kind of like what Aaron Abel just did there. He just walked up the racetrack and just absolutely started grazing that outside wall. And now look at the momentum that he just lost there. I would have to believe he was, I think he was 13th, but there's now a chance that he's going to lose that position here to Caleb Rose as Rose slides down to the inside, heading down the back straightaway. Now into the turn number 3, Rose edges ahead. But Aaron Abel's going to get that good run coming off of turn number 4. Meanwhile, up front, Braden Perez is going to take the race lead away from Emily Anderson. As Anderson now finds herself on the inside line. I believe there's probably a chance that that Anderson might have gotten into the outside wall, but nonetheless, new race leader. It's Braden Perez in the 88. And now here comes Zachary Fitzwater right around the outside. Oh, and right into the wall. That's going to hurt his momentum just a tiny bit, but he quickly gathered it back up. And now he's dead even with Perez as they come off of turn number 2. This time by. Down the back straightaway they go. Fitzy edges ahead. There's Janiah Hill in the 7. Right up here as well. Early in the going, Janiah Hill now starting to show some speed. Remember, she started off the year winning the Clash at the LA Coliseum in the most dominating fashion possible. Just think if she were to bookend the points-paying season with a win. Barring any full-time driver, any of the traditional 40 points for finishing in first. That would definitely be something. Ooh. Fitzy leads it, but Janiah Hill gets into the outside wall. That doesn't mean a thing as Hill rockets around the outside. She's going to take the lead away from Zachary Fitzwater as they come through turn 1. Definitely have to imagine that Bobby McGuire is sitting in the pit box just absolutely jumping up and down, loving what he sees early in the going here in this one. This could definitely show the true pace and the true speed of Janiah Hill especially at this juncture of the race. Think of what could happen later on if Janiah finds herself in the right position, at the right place at the right time. It very well could happen. Very well could happen. Don't want to count it out. Further in the back, Nathan Stapleton and Andrew Miller fighting for that 10th position. Miller wants it. Stapleton has it. And oh boy. Oh, here we go. I think we're going to get ready for pit stops. And indeed, that's the case. Hill comes down for her first round of green flag pit stops, or at least to get things started. I believe Noah Clifton, actually no, Clifton picked up a couple spots. That puts Blaze back in 42nd, or at least still 41st on the racetrack, but definitely dead last of the drivers that are currently running as of right now. But we should expect more drivers to come on down pit road this time by. And it's going to consist of this group right here: Little, Fitzy, Fitzgerald, Anderson, Vaughn, Steidel, and others. All pit here. So for our first round of green flag pit stops underway on that started on lap 29, and here we are on lap 30 with our first group of cars that are in right now. Perez stayed out, so he leads the way with Diacomo in 2nd, Miller 3rd, Halt 4th, and Eric Monaco completing your top 5. And now Perez is going to give up the race lead and come on down pit road. Bonsignor stays out along with Kyle Craven, Claire Phillips, I think I saw Russell Blaze, yep, and also Jerry Rose. Those cars wound up staying out. So now Bonsignor leads the charge here in Miami. So these next 5 cars do have to come on down and pit. Rogel Dorn completing his stop. And now here comes Bonsignor, our championship leader. Kyle Craven is in. Runner-up, Russell Blaze is in. Then there's Phillips and Jerry Rose. Well, now 30 laps in the books as of right now. And I would have to believe that Janiah Hill is going to be the new race leader. We'll just have to wait and see what happens once our first round of green flag pit stops officially complete. Once they're finished, once they're wrapped up, that is. So Hill moves up to 6th, and where is Bonsignor in relation to everybody else? Probably, yep, just now coming out of the pits. So now Janiah Hill is officially going to cycle back to the race lead here on coming around to complete lap number 32 of the Ford EcoBoost 400 here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. This is our final points paying race of the season. For those that are tuning in, we decided to proceed on with the championship race as scheduled. Every other race is scheduled. And Charlotte and Pocono, which were we did not run from the 22nd all the way up until June 18th, at least those two races within that window. They got pushed to the back end of the season, so expect us to make up those two races on the 11th, the Veterans Day, November 11th for the Coca-Cola 600, and our final race of the season will be at Pocono. That's our overall final race of the season. No points will be rewarded in those two sessions, but focusing back in here, your top 10 after this first round of green flag pit stops is officially complete. Your running order looks like this. Janiah Hill is your race leader. Then running in second, a little under 2 seconds behind and starting to chop away at that lead little by little. That would be Ryan Little. No pun intended, by the way. Zachary Fitzwater in third, Ajax Fitzgerald fourth, Braden Perez completes your top 5. Then it's Emily Anderson in sixth, Nia Steidel in seventh. Running in eighth is Roberto Crown Jr. popping up inside of in the top 10 for the first time tonight. Andrew Miller ninth, and another driver popping up inside of the top 10, Rogel Dorn. First time tonight that we're bringing up Rogel Dorn here in this session. And you got these 4 cars kind of wrapped up under a blanket. Steidel trying to retain the 7th spot, but looks like that's going to be a tall task if you're on the inside line and not up there where Crown, Miller, and even Rogel Dorn are, because now Steidel's going to lose at least 2 positions, maybe 3 here. Oh, as Miller gets into the outside wall, that actually is going to help her at least retain the 8th spot at the very least. But Crown is going to move up to 7th because of that, and Miller gets kicked back to 10th. 2.5 difference between Janiah Hill and as well as the 27 of Ryan Little, both trying to search for their first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series wins. Hill has been a part of the series since 2023 on a part-time basis. Remember, she co-owned 420 Blaze It with Haley Curris. She drove a number 21 TikTok Chevrolet. And now co-owning for McGuire Motorsports, driving this number 7. And she will be full-time in 2026 along with Bobby McGuire. So you'd have to imagine this would be some huge momentum heading into the next season. And for Ryan Little, well, after this season, they'll be switching over to Fords. Vision Motorsports will be switching to Fords in 2026 and adding a 3rd car to their team. So definitely a lot to look forward to here in the 2026 season. As for Ajax Fitzgerald, unfortunately, he does not have a ride for 2026. As you see, Braden Perez absolutely scraped the outside wall. But Fitzgerald does not have a ride for 2026. This 92 camp will be closing up shop once the season is over. So we're not 100% sure on what Ajax Fitzgerald's plans will be in 2026. We definitely do know that there's a spot opening up over at Durrani Racing, as Russell Blaze, after this year, will leave to form his own team, Death Rider Racing. They've already got the lineup set up for that camp, and as well as the 3rd car that will also be competing on a part-time basis. So it's going to be a pretty interesting year. That's all I'll say. Under a second between Little and Hill. Almost 3/4 of a second is going to be the difference. Probably about 2/3 here once they come off of turn number 4. About a half a second between the two. And just to check in on our championship contenders, right now Kyle Craven is shown in the 28th or in the 19th position. Russell Blaze not doing too well himself right now, running in 28th. Terry Walker shown in 36th. Skylar Taylor in 16th, but right now none of them are in any sort of shape of dethroning Kyle Craven as of right now. So, I mean, it could very well be a pretty easy walk-off here for Craven. I mean, given the points gap, but anything is possible. Craven there could be a caution later on, and Craven could get involved in a crash. I mean, that's a possibility, but don't want to jinx him. But I mean, it is a possibility to kind of keep in the back of your mind, because at a championship race, I mean, at a race of this high profile, with a lot of stakes on the line, anything is possible. And we're going to have a race for the lead on our hands here as Ryan Little has caught Janiah Hill. Oh, look at Little go up to the outside. Hill opens up the top, and here comes Ryan Little rocketing around the outside for the lead. To complete lap number, well, coming around to complete lap 45 this time around. Well, next time by. But Little trying to hold on, but not going to be the case here. Hill's going to tuck in behind the 27. So our new race leader is going to be Ryan Little. And meanwhile, these three are starting to catch up. That's Zachary Fitzwater, Fitzgerald, and Braden Perez. Emily Anderson not too far behind. But they are closing in little by little with 45 laps complete. And 89 laps to go. Meanwhile, you look back over here. You got this big wad of cars being led by Nia Steidel. You got CG Holt up here. Even Roberto Crown Jr. Roberto Crown Jr. kind of trapped up there on that outside. There's a possibility he might lose that 8th position, and he does. To CG Holt, who's leading the inside. And look at this. You got Ray Atikian up here as well in the number 45. Atikian is coming back in 2026 for Trinity River Racing. Same numbers, similar scheme, same sponsors and all. For the number 45 team, Campbell Marsh looks like he's going to get into the outside wall. That might open up the door for Kyle Craven to drive to the inside. And indeed, that's the case. Look at this. All three American Motorsports cars under a blanket. As now Craven moves up to 17th. Possibly up to 16th here if he can get by his teammate, which more than likely is going to be the case. Kyle Craven now getting the inside of Skylar Taylor for the 15th position. Probably is not going to be able to get the run there. Rogel Dorn absolutely scraping that outside wall. But Craven for sure is going to try everything he can to gain as many spots as possible to try to pull away and run away with this championship as long as he can survive for these next, well, now coming up to, I think, 84 laps or 85 laps now. And we still got a decent way to go here in this Ford EcoBoost 400. For those tuning in, we've been caution-free since the drop of the green flag, but never say never. We could see our first caution fly. Maybe by the time we start our second round of green flag pit stops, anything is possible. Perez into the outside wall. And here comes Emily Anderson, diving to the inside to try to catapult and take that 6th position away, but Perez got that momentum back very, very quickly. As now he starts to rocket around the outside of Emily Anderson, heading down the back straightaway, and Anderson will have to pull back behind the 88 of Perez. Fitzgerald trying to open up the top line there for Fitzy, but Fitzy got into that outside wall, so all that momentum, at least whatever momentum that Fitzwater had, unfortunately just got wiped away. Down the back stretch, heading into turn number 3. And it looks like, oh yeah, Brandon Perez gets into the outside wall again. That's the second time that we've seen that happen. 52 laps of racing complete. And look at that right side, just absolutely used up on Perez's car. Still got this big wad of cars up over here, still being led by Seidel. And then we look even further back. There's Stephen Colon and Eric Monaco leading the third group. This group consisting of Russell Blaze, our runner-up in the championship as of right now. And do you notice something? This pack seems a little blue, dabu-dee, dabu-die. I mean, there's at least several cars that consist of the color blue, with the exception of Eric Monaco. I mean, Monaco probably may have a little bit of blue on his car, but for the most part, it's mostly a black and red and green sort of Great Clip Chevy. But the rest in this pack seem all blue. Phillips scraping that outside wall pretty good there as they come off of 4. And she's going to lose a lot of momentum there. It's Wayne Lopez in the number 1 machine. This will be Wayne Lopez's last points race of the year. But definitely not the last one of the season, because there's still those 2 races that we have to make up, Charlotte and Pocono. But after 2025, Wayne Lopez will not be returning to EGI, as the team is going to be downsizing at least 1 car to a 3-car operation. Of course, with Steidl, Phillips, and Emily Anderson all leading the charge, or at least all at the helm. Focusing at the front of the field, it looks like Ryan Little is opened up a third of a second advantage, maybe a little bit more than that, over these 5 cars that are all trailing behind Janiah Hill in the 7. So it's still about a third of a second between the 2. Currently at this particular moment, with 56 laps of racing complete here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Perez trying to do everything he can to make that bottom work. He was able to do it right there. He pulls up alongside Hill, but not able to steal that position away. But Ryan Little definitely is loving what he sees in his rearview mirror. He's starting to pull away just by a few hundredths each lap. He was 33 100ths ahead, then went up by 1 100th, now went up by 4. His second place is still being contested. They're still side by side. Oh, but wait a minute. It's almost a quarter of a second between Hill and Little, along with Perez and Fitzy and all the others that are lined up, that are all pretty much grouped up behind Ryan Little as of right now. Everybody trying to chase him. And here we go. Our second round of green flag pit stops getting ready to start. And meanwhile, up over here, all these other drivers were kind of squeezing each other. I see Ray Atikin coming on in, along with Parton and as well as Stephen Colon there in the pits here on lap number 60. So it's only a matter of time before we see Janiah Hill and Fitzwater and Perez. It's only a matter of time before we see all them come on down and pit. That's going to be the case right here. Emily Anderson is going to stay out. Good wad of other cars will stay out. Vaughn and Hill, Vaughn, Miller, Skylar Taylor, Stapleton, others will come on down. So that gives the lead over to Emily Anderson momentarily. And Steidl would be in second, leading Halt, Crown, Abel, Dorn, Bonsignor, and Kyle Craven. And now here we go. Steidl and Dorn peel off to come to pit road. Eric Monaco, Russell Blaze, Val Moscow, Zachary Taylor, Wyatt Walker, Abby Walker, Quentin Moore, Jordan Sumner, Diacomo. They all come on in. Man, look at the gap that Hall is building over Crown, Bonsinger, and all these other cars. And here we go again. These drivers all come on down pit road. Our championship leader is in. Terry Walker is in. Martin Nixon comes on down pit road. And so this should complete our second round of green flag stops. At least those drivers should complete our second round. And we might have ourselves a bit of a different look, a slightly different look this time around when it comes to the top 10 as Claire Phillips brings her car down to pit road. Five laps away from the halfway mark of the Ford EcoBoost 400 from here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And we could very well see Ryan. We're definitely going to see Ryan Little go back to the point. As Holt finally makes his way out on the racetrack. So, as the field comes off turn 4, or at least Hill comes off turn 4, Little, excuse me, your top 10 is officially going to look like this. Actually, looks like Phillips might have just... Phillips now is officially coming out, so she will complete our second round of green flag pit stops. So now, as Little, or I keep getting the two mixed up, as Ryan Little comes off 4, crosses the start-finish line to complete lap 64, your top 10 now officially goes as follows. Ryan Little as the leader. Ray Atikian now showing up in second. Janiyah Hill gets kicked back to third. Then it's Tanner Parton in the 4th spot. Completing your top 5, that's Ajax Fitzgerald. Emily Anderson is in 6th. Stephen Colon in 7th. Skylar Taylor in 8th. Then in 9th will be the 6th of Nia Steidl, and Rogel Dorn completes your top 10. Check in with the championship contenders. Russell Blaze has now moved his way up into the 17th spot. Kyle Craven currently 23rd. So that, as of right now, I mean, is pretty big. I mean, as far as the top two in the championship, they have essentially traded places. And although this is a good thing for Russell Blaze, the bad thing is he still has to keep passing cars and trying to go to the race lead if he's going to have any sort of chance at winning the championship. At least as of right now, he just got kicked back to 18th. Hill's still not too far behind. What would essentially have to happen now, if Craven is in 23rd, and if you have Blaze, who's now going to be thrown back into the 19th position here, this is until he can actually clear up and get behind Fitzwater, but it looks like Blaze going to do everything he can to make sure that bottom line works. But since they're 5 spots apart, the thing is, there's still 27 points. There's still a 27 points difference, at least coming in. There's now a 22-point difference between the two, because if I don't recall either of them leading a lap at the very least, so the gap would still be 22 points apart. What would have to happen at this rate is Blaze would have to start passing cars left and right, try to climb his way up to first place and stay there. and try to win the race. If he can do that, he would win the 2025 Pepsi Cup Series Championship. Hill or halt in the wall. Yeah, CG Hall got into the outside wall pretty hard there. Is there 3 wide over here? With CG Hall, Wayne Lopez, Val Moscow, but it looks like Hall's going to get a great run coming off of turn number 2. He's going to retain what looks to be that 21st position. Oh, Blaze, look at him. He's going around the outside. Oh, he couldn't quite do it. He just nabbed the wall as he was trying to get by Eric Monaco. But Blaze right now sitting steadily in that 17th position. Kyle Craven now getting contested by Alex Bonsignor. This is all for 23rd. At least 23rd out on the racetrack as of right now. And down on the inside, it looks like Bonsignor is going to take it away from the inside line. Looks like it's coming to life, folks. That inside line is starting to come to life for the most part. Caleb Rose now starting to fight back around the outside, heading into turn 3. And Bonsinger now starting to lose a little bit of momentum. That's going to allow Craven to pass right on by and take 23rd right back. Blaze now moves up into 16th. This is good stuff. This is good out of Russell Blaze. This is exactly what he wants. There's now still that 7-point difference, or at least now 21-point difference. Blaze has got to get by Eric Monaco. And Craven, they're both in the outside wall. Blaze and Craven were scraping the wall coming through turns 3 and 4. And although it's not good for Kyle Craven because now he gets bumped back to 24th, may lose that spot to Quentin Moore. But it might also help Russell Blaze as well because again, Craven didn't really gain much there. But Blaze is still picking off cars one by one. So who knows exactly where we're going to see him after this next round of green flag stops. At the front of the field, Little continues to lead the way. Janiyah Hill has gone by Rhea Tikian for second and is now going to set her sights on the 27 of Ryan Little. Past the halfway mark. We just passed it about, probably about almost 10 laps ago. A second and a half now is the difference between the 27 and the 7. Side by side here for 5th. That's the 4 of Emily Anderson. As well as the 07 of Tanner Parton, Ryan Little's teammate. Also have to bear in mind that Nia Steidel waiting in the wings in the 7th position just in case if anything happens. And how about Alexander Rowe in the 34? Kyle Craven's teammate is up here. Right now running in 9th. Doing a pretty nice job here. As we progress on here in the Ford EcoBoost 400 from here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Take a look at this little battle still brewing on here. Open up a nice can of Pepsi in the process. Field comes off too. And these two are still going at it here for that 5th position. Mogul Dorn absolutely nailing that outside wall. And same goes for Skylar Taylor in the 41. Vaughn finds himself up there. Vaughn currently running in the 12th position. Maybe not so much anymore as Campbell Marsh Gonna try to work his way down to the inside of the 54. And how about this? Kyle Craven has now gone from 23rd now up to 20th. So that gap is starting to grow between the 28 and the 69 by just a little bit more. Again, it was a 27-point difference coming in. It is now a 23-point difference. And neither of these drivers led a lap so far. Under a second between Ryan Little and Janiah Hill. With now 80 laps complete. Again, it's pretty shocking that we have not had a caution here in this race. But just imagine, a caution will definitely shake up the complexion of this one. It would shake it up even more if any of our championship contenders were involved. But Little and Parton still fighting it out side by side. And Seidel has to be thinking to herself, what in the world am I doing? Just sitting behind a side-by-side battle. I could have been around these guys yesterday. As she's still sitting in the 7th position. Still a very good run here for Nia Steidel in the number 6 camp. She and Emily Anderson will be swapping numbers next year. So Emily Anderson will be driving the number 6, and Nia Steidel she'll be taking over the 4 in 2026. Dorn gets into the outside wall again, as does the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. And here comes Campbell Marsh down to the inside. Craven falls back to 22nd, so that gap starts to shrink between him and Russell Blaze. It is now a 21-point difference. Oh, lots happening up here. Oh, boy. As Val Moscow absolutely was just magnetized to the outside wall. So now he starts to fall back. He'll fall back to the 22nd position. CG Halt trying to work his way to the inside of Russell Blaze to try to take that 16th position away. When Blaze gets into the outside wall, that's not a good thing here. And Halt is on through to 16th. That gap starts to grow a little bit more. It's still a 5-point. It actually still is a 5-point difference. Both Blaze and Craven lost positions there. And up front, Janiah Hill has caught Ryan Little yet again. And now he's going to try to do everything. Well, now Hill's going to do everything that she can to once again, try to get back to the race lead. But the shoe is on the other foot, because remember, after the first round of green flag stops, it was Ryan Little that chased Hill back down and chased Hill down to take the lead. Now it's Janiah Hill that chased Ryan Little down. But can she steal this top position away from the 27? She's going to go way up to the outside. Oh, not able to get that pass made there. She looks low down the front straightaway, heading into turn 1. She's going to try to make that bottom groove work. So far, it is actually. Look at that. Pulls up to the left rear quarter panel now down the back straightaway. Can she make it stick going through turns 3 and 4? From that shot, it looked like it was almost dead even. But Little still holding on from the outside line. Hill trying to do everything she can to take it away from the bottom. And she pulls up just a little bit more there. Off a 2, down the back straightaway once again. Heading into turn 3. Oh, they're just about dead even there. At least from that shot, and yet again, it looked more dead even than what it did the last lap. 88 laps complete. Still, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised and actually pretty impressed that Hill was able to hold on to the inside line on the inside for as long as she's been able to. But I think Hill might be hinting that she's going to come on down to pit road. Maybe not, as Ryan Little's going to give up the lead, and he'll come to pit road here on lap 89, along with Ray Atikian. And look at this huge wad of cars, as they all get pretty much held up and pretty much all stacked up at the same time. But Little and Atikian, first two cars to come on down pit road yet again to begin our third round of green flag pit stops. And it looks like Janiah Hill, she'll surrender the lead and come on down pit road. This will give Emily Anderson the top spot coming through turn 4, and at the stripe, she barely leads that lap over the 07 of Tanner Parton. These two have been fighting for that 5th position for a long time, and now they're fighting it out for this race lead. But the question is Tanner Parton going to stay out an extra lap, or is he going to have to surrender this fight and come on down pit road? Let's see. Actually, they're still going to go at it. Nice. Seidel's going to break off. She'll come to the pits. Blaze is in, along with Campbell Marsh and Alexander Rowe, Miller, Lopez, the 59 of Caleb Rose, Abby Walker, and others. Craven stays out. The one thing that Russell Blaze has to hope for, at least one of the things that he has to hope for, is that Kyle Craven does not lead a lap. If that's the case, Blaze is in trouble. That would definitely have to mean more than ever that Russell Blaze would have to try to get out front, or at least play the cards right. Get out front, try to lead the laps, and try to win the race. And hope to God that you can stay at least 28 or more spots ahead of Kyle Craven, or at least just for the most part win the race, and just hope that Craven finishes too far back. So Stapleton leads the way. Kyle Craven comes on down pit road along with CG Hall, Moscow, Wyatt Walker, Roberto Crown Jr. is in, Whitlock, and also Aaron Abel. They're all in as well. Oh, Noah Clifton slow. Wait, he's out of gas. Noah Clifton is out of gas. He is slow on the back straightaway. He works his way to the inside. And he takes the access road off the racing. Oh, he's going to come back on the racing surface. Uh-oh. But he's on the apron. And it looks like he is going to make it to pit road. Yeah, he's going to make it to pit road, so we will stay green. Stapleton, I think, also. He might have also been out of gas as well. But he's in the pits nonetheless. A little bit of a closer fight for some of these drivers. Some of them actually came out a little bit closer together than what we've seen the last two pit stops, but this time it's going to be Janiah Hill leading the charge. They've gotten by Nathan Stapleton, who is in the pits. Looks he might be making his way back out right now. Oh, but look at this. Atikian try to work his way around the outside of Ryan Little. This will be the fight for the second position. So now your top 10 looks as follows, with 95 laps complete. Janiah Hill is the race leader. Ray Atikian will now be shown in the second position, kicking Ryan Little back to third, maybe fourth here if he's not careful. So third across the stripe is going to go to Fitzgerald. Then fourth will be Ryan Little. Nia Steidel completes your top 5. Then Skylar Taylor is in the 6th position. Then in 7th will be the 34 of Alexander Rowe. In 8th, Stephen Colon. 9th, Emily Anderson and Tanner Parton rounds out your top 10. As of right now, things are looking pretty good for Russell Blaze. He's shown in the 11th position. Kyle Craven, 21st. So there's about a 17-point difference between the two. So Blaze is slowly but surely finding his way to the front of the field here in this one. He's just barely outside of the top 10. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, a quarter of a second is the difference between Hill and Atiki. And look at Steidel go right around the outside as she's up to 4th, now trying to get 2 birds with 1 stone. Trying to get around Fitzgerald here for 3rd. Steidel trying to look for win number 3 on the season. She won back-to-back at Martinsville and then at Nazareth earlier this year, but she's in the outside wall again. This time, this really going to hurt her momentum, as she's going to stay in that 4th spot across the stripe, and Ryan Little finds his way down to the inside of Steidel's machine. 34 laps of racing to go from here at the Homestead Miami Speedway coming up. Oh, Steidel in the outside wall, but I don't think it's going to hurt her momentum too much there. She's about dead even across the stripe. Fitzgerald just got it by a nose, just by the tip of the nose of Fitzgerald's car. Heading down into turn 3. Steidel looks like she's going to get 3rd for the moment, but she is absolutely just sending it into the corner, and that's going to cost her 2 positions, as now she falls back to 5th. Maybe 3 here. Alexander Rowe taking a peek to the inside. They work their way down the back straightaway. Look at what's going on over here as Blaze has caught the never-ending side-by-side fight between Emily Anderson and Tanner Parton. Looks like it's finally come to a conclusion momentarily as Parton moves up to the 9th position. But Blaze trying to do everything he can to crack the top 10. Kyle Craven has cracked the top 20, so now it's an 18-point difference. Looks like Blaze starting to lose a little bit of momentum there down the front stretch heading into turn 1. But Blaze trying to do everything he can to stay out as far ahead of Kyle Craven. But Craven looks like he's fallen back to 21st. Let's see exactly where he is on the racetrack. There he is. Right behind a side-by-side fight between Zachary Taylor and Quentin Moore. Not too far behind them is also Braden Perez and Roberto Crown Jr. They're fighting it out here for what looks to be the 22nd position as Craven now catches up to the back end of Zachary Taylor and finds his way around the outside potentially on Quentin Moore. Looks like that's going to be the case. As you see in the ticker, top of your screen, well, you saw it there for a moment, but Russell Blaze found himself inside of the top 10 for a moment, but Anderson's going to take it right back right around the outside. And up front, A new challenger has arisen, and his name is Ajax Fitzgerald. Absolutely driving the wheels off his car. Hill's going to barely retain that top position and try to keep that door around the outside closed, but look at Noah Clifton in the 99. A little bit ago, he was coasting to the pits, and now here he is trying to get back on the lead lap. He's going to go to the inside and make it look absolutely effortless. So now Clifton finds himself back on the lead lap. And now the next thing that Clifton has to hope and pray for is a caution to come out. We've got 107 green flag laps so far, and we have yet to see a yellow flag fly here in this race. It's actually kind of shocking that we have not had a caution. Seidel finds herself now back in the 6th position, getting kicked out of the top 5. But you also have the 34 of Alexander Rowe. Really doing a masterful job of working the inside line. Yeah, absolutely doing a fantastic job of making sure that inside line is working and up to par, at least for the most part. And remember, these drivers have one final green flag stop to go. They have one more to go, and that should be right around, that should start right around lap 118. Around lap 118, lap 119 for the most part. How about this? Skylar Taylor's now has now found themselves up into the 3rd position. How about that? Taylor could very well find themselves winning their their 2nd race of the year. Remember, they won at Vegas towards the beginning of the season. But I just do not believe it would be enough to secure the championship. It just wouldn't be enough because Skylar Taylor has not led the most laps. And I don't think he even got the bonus point for leading a lap. So it would definitely be close between... It probably would come close. Probably Taylor would come close to maybe nabbing 2nd away from Russell Blaze in points. Blaze currently right now in a pretty intense fight between Stephen Colon and Andrew Miller. They've been trading that 11th position, or trying. Well, I mean, I definitely say Stephen Colon is sort of driving like Ryan Newman, if you will. Very, very hard to pass, if I may say. And Blaze is definitely finding out firsthand how sometimes it can be pretty hard to pass Stephen Colon, especially at a place like Homestead, Miami. Craven in a pretty intense fight of his own as well, kind of in a similar scenario when it comes to trying to get that inside line to work. And so far he is edges ahead of Zachary Taylor. Oh, Zachary Fitzwater into the outside wall. Oh, a little bit of contact there. But they keep it clean for the most part. And now Craven moves up to 19th. Now trying to get by, Zachary Taylor and now Valkyrie Atikian. Try to get up to 17th. He's by Taylor. Now can he get by Atikian here for the 17th position? Edges ahead. Oh, Quentin Moore into the outside wall. That's a pretty good sign that we're going to have at least one more round of green flag pit stops take place. But Janiyah Hill has definitely been at the helm of the field ever since, ever since taking the lead away since at the first round of green flag stops. Look at Steidel absolutely riding the outside wall, and she's going to drop a couple positions there. Alexander Rowe on through to third. Skylar Taylor takes fourth away from Seidel. And Russell Blaze has now finally moved inside of the top 10, but that gap is now 20 points. A 20-point difference now between Craven and Blaze, at least for the moment. We obviously have less than 20 to go. We're coming around to complete lap 117. There'll be 17 laps of racing to go from here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Ooh, Alexander Rowe getting pretty close to that outside wall. He didn't even nab it there, but man, he just made that thing look absolutely effortless. Just blasting right on by Ajax Fitzgerald. And now Alexander Rowe is in a pretty good spot to try to steal this race lead away from Janiah Hill. But now the question is, who's going to be the first one to break off and start the final round of green flag pit stops? That's going to be the question that's on my mind for sure, because the previous two pit stops, it's been Ryan Little and Ray Atikian breaking off to start pit stops, that is. Craven up to 15th. So now the gap is 22 points. That is absolutely not good news there if you're Russell Blaze. And there goes Ryan Little. He's the first one to break off to come to pit road on lap 119. And oh my goodness. My goodness. This is the money stop right here. This is more than likely going to be the pit stop that could be a make or break moment for both Blaze and Craven. Potentially right here. Hill and Fitzgerald, they break off. They come to pit road. And look at this. Almost 3 wide there between the powerhouse Crown cars of Monaco and Crown. And also Kyle Craven, who would have been at the very top end of the racetrack there. But now at the front, Parton scrapes the outside wall. They stay out. He and Alexander Rowe. Emily Anderson stays out, and Blaze comes in. Along with Ray Atikian. Valkyrie Atikian is in as well. Jordan Sumner peels off to come to pit road. But now our race leader of Alexander Rowe and Tanner Parton, they now finally make the decision to come on in. Kyle Craven stays out. Oh boy. And he's going to lead the lap. That is not what Russell Blaze wanted to hear whatsoever. So that points gap is going to increase. It's just going to be increased by 1 point. Oh no. Oh no. Man, if you're Russell Blaze, again, if you are Russell Blaze, that's got to be gut-wrenching. Because now you know, and you better hope and pray that Kyle Craven has a terrible pit stop. Roberto Crown Jr. leads the way. Wyatt Walker not too far behind. He's 1.7 seconds back. I believe he's yet to come to pit road. I'm not 100% sure yet. Yes, indeed he does. So Walker peels off. He's got to come to pit road, along with Roberto Crown Jr. Ooh, Abby Walker scraping that outside wall pretty good there, coming through turn number 4. Ooh, right side tires there. Ooh, right side tires for Kyle Craven. Very interesting there, but definitely a pretty lengthy amount of time on pit road to get that passenger side repaired. Definitely a very lengthy amount of time. Martin Nixon peels off to come to the pits. And Nathan Stapleton, who would be shown in second, he comes out. Wyatt Walker makes his way back out on the track. Oh my goodness gracious. 9 to go this time by. Hill gets into the outside wall. Ryan Little looks like he's going to be the new race. He's going to go back to the race lead. And I believe Nia Steidel is a lap down. So definitely she spent a very long time on pit road. So unfortunately, she is out of contention here in this thing, but she can still play spoiler to this little party. And there's our championship leader, Kyle Craven, just up ahead of these folks. But Ryan Little goes back to the point. Then in second is Janiah Hill, Alexander Rowe in third, Ajax Fitzgerald fourth, Rhea Tikian completes your top five. Then in the sixth position, that would be Tanner Parton. Cologne in seventh, Anderson eighth. Then in ninth, that would be Skylar Taylor. And completing your top 10, that would be Abby Walker. Russell Blaze finds himself in 23rd. And Kyle Craven is showed in 39th. So that would be a 13-point gap, I would believe. No, an 11-point gap. As of right now, 11 points. So Blaze did not have a better pit stop. But Kyle Craven now finds himself towards the very bottom. Oh, Stapleton absolutely scraping that outside wall. Actually, wait. It'd be a 12-point gap. Because remember, Craven did go on to lead a lap. But there's Blaze right here. Shown in the 23rd position. Closing in on 5 laps of racing to go. But man. But Craven did not have a good pit stop whatsoever. He will be scored with one. He will score 1 point. Plus the 1 point that he got in the championship. At least for leading a lap. So that would put him up to 487. And as we focus up towards the front of the field, Janiah Hill just took the race lead away with 4 laps to go. And if we're going to do the math here for Russell Blaze, Blaze came into this thing with 458 points. With 487. So if we do the math, then with 3 to go, Hill still leads it. 472. That's not going to be enough to close in on Kyle Craven. 3 laps to go. Focusing at the front of the field. Janiah Hill took it away from Ryan Little. And man, this would be huge. McGuire has to be at the edge of his seat right now, watching his girlfriend, Janiah Hill, lead the charge with Nia Steidel down there on the inside. 2 laps of racing to go. And man, if you are Russell Blaze again, you just have to be absolutely kicking yourself for not having a good pit stop. I mean, Craven had a worse one. And he is 40th on the tail end of the lead lap. But coming around, turns 3 and 4 this time by. the white flag will fly, and we'll have one more lap to go in the 2025 point season. The last lap for Miami. This will be a huge momentum booster for McGuire Motorsports, as they will be full-time in 2026. But for tonight, this is going to be amazing. Janiah Hill through turns 3 and 4. She started the year off by winning the Clash at the LA Coliseum, and here she comes off of turn 4. Janiah Hill is a Pepsi Cup Series winner in Miami. And now here he comes. Down the back straightaway one final time. Into turn 3. Blaze put up a really good fight, but he's going to come up short to this man, Kyle Craven, rounding off a turn 4. He is your 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series champion. What an amazing bookend to the points paying season. Kyle Craven wins the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series Championship. And of course, he's going to do it. If my math is correct, by at least 15 points. So Blaze did all that he could, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Blaze did not have a good pit stop. I mean, even though Kyle Craven had a terrible pit stop, or at least a very lengthy pit stop, Russell Blaze, unfortunately, did not have the best of stops, and he lost a lot of ground right there. But huge congratulations to Janiah Hill in a caution-free Ford Ecoboost 400. Everybody finished the race. Only 40 finished on the lead lap. Nia Steidl, Jerry Rosie, only 2 that are currently, that finished a lap down. But nonetheless, a very clean, very good race. Few close calls here and there, but nonetheless, it has been an absolutely fantastic race here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Huge congratulations to Janiah Hill on securing her first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series win. And a huge congratulations to Kyle Craven and American Motorsports for taking home the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series Championship. And with that, that's it for the points. They're going to be officially finalized by the time we enter them in and release them. But as far as the racing aspect, we're not quite done yet. After about a 10-day break, we'll be back at it again to make up the Charlotte and Pocono races, starting off on Veterans Day, Tuesday, November the 11th. We'll be racing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600. And then just 4 days later, we'll be racing at the Pocono Raceway for our overall final race of the season. So it's going to be a fun 2 races in 1 week. And we're looking forward to it. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the 2025 points finale here for the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. If you're watching this live on Twitch, be sure to hit the follow button so you do not miss a future stream. And if you're watching the full race replay on YouTube, if you guys like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And that will pretty much do it for us here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. One final time, congratulations to Janiah Hill on winning her first Pepsi Cup race. And congratulations to our 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series champion, Kyle Craven. Have yourselves a great rest of your night, everybody. Take care. And we will see you all in 10 days on Veterans Day for the Coca-Cola 600.